Hi, Joeyakan, Alphabet's intelligence industry troublemaker, as stylized by the people who would want you to go fat on the wrong things. And what are the wrong things? The industry narrative. So this is not the industry narrative, and this is so heavy for me to do. It gives me no joy. But let's go into this. So Mariah, when you think of Wizkid, you think of a man who's done it all, literally. This is a man who has led from the front for over a decade. He's had all the awards, all the hits across multiple eras, and he's the apex creator in this market, and it's reflected all through his career. Play Afrobeats to the world. He also played an important role in getting Afrobeats to crack the global pop framework. Think about his deal with Sony. Him and a few others were the guinea pigs that cemented our arrival at the global pop framework. And so, yeah, this is one of one. He's a legend. He has greatness all over his work. And to be Wizkid is to be the best that you can be at your craft. So we've made in Lagos. We've made in Lagos in 2020, right? Yeah, that's 2020, late 2020. Whiskey dropped one of the best projects to ever come out of Africa. This is one of the greatest works ever produced by an African. It was an album that was critically and commercially acclaimed, lots of hits, high impact, high traffic. Everything was perfect. This was so far peak Whiskey. And what happened during that time? He became a bit distant, moved to London, stopped a lot of like personal interaction. That was when everyone began to ascribe this maturity to him. Yeah, that was Wizkid until a few months ago. After Made in Lagos, he dropped MLLE. MLLE, to me, it's one of his best projects in his discography. Sonically diverse, cohesive, and the writing on that project is way too beautiful. But it didn't catch. It didn't catch on. Some of us would attribute it to, how high he flew towards the sun with MIL, Made in Lagos. But MLLE happened. A lot of things didn't work out and just wasn't accepted commercially. And then what happened? Doubts began to creep in about his place in the game. As someone who's led from the front, the moment you falter, it's a very crazy industry. People begin to ask you questions. And why are they asking these questions? In the Afrobeat God is changing. We have a new set of people who are leading the culture. There's Stems, there's Shakir, there's Rema. And those doubts, they were further intensified when Wizkid showed up again recently in the past few months. And towards with the rollout of this project, he has goaded Davido, ignited that age-old feud that I don't like to talk about because I think it's pedestrian. Okay, so what does Mariah give us? So Mariah distinctly splits into two parts. There's the dance whisker, the guy who gives you the heavy records, the hits, the club songs, and that's why Kessa is in there doing the work. Very potent record. You'd also have songs like More, you have songs like Ben, you have songs like Bad Girl. It's the dance whiskey. On the other hand, you have the R&B whiskey, and this is where he employs the most people. With Bad for You, Jasmine Sullivan, beautiful hook there. And as Kadot continues to make her inroad into this culture. First on Lungu Boy, Ashake's Lungu Boy, and now on this one, on the record called Slow. And, beautiful records. But the entire project, when you listen, everything, the entire project feels a lot like what we have heard before. It feels like this is a great ode to nostalgia. But it doesn't sit right at the point where we're looking towards the future and moving ahead into the future, and we're defining what it means to make African music now that we've been nearly a decade in Afrobeats to the world. So another point that I couldn't sit well with me on this project is how much the lyrics flat lines. It feels a lot of it feels uninspired. Everything on this record, it feels Whiskey has said all of these things before. Interactions with the lady, a little introspection on A Million Blessings, which is actually one of the best records on this project, one of the high points of this project. But everything just feels like we're going through multiple versions of Wizkid, which is not exactly a bad thing. But and so that nostalgia just lingers all through. We don't see anything to take us into the future. We don't get more. I, Listening to this project, you just coast. The high point, you don't go high. You just coast, and maybe that's what this is about. Maybe Whiskey does not care so much about, he's proven himself. He's done everything. He doesn't have to push the needle anymore. But this is one of his least enjoyable projects. It doesn't contain the wizardry on Made in Lagos. Lacks the melodic diversity of More Love Less Ego, and just feels it I don't know, man. But shout out to Wizkid. The benefits here is, we get a lot more Wizkid music. There's a lot of, there's a lot of, if you love Wizkid, this is a project. Usually, this is a project that you can add to extend his legacy and extend your love for him. Um, but does it show us? Does it take us there? No. Does it have the oomph that we all want from projects these days? No. It's pretty much a largely one two-dimensional project. But mm, we need more melodies, man. Afrobeats intelligence, moral. What do you think?